how do you go about coordinating efforts so everyone on the team knows their specific role when an emergency happens?
It's a great question that you ask. I want to say that it starts early on, way before the season even begins. We practice our emergency action plans. That's what we call it in the NFL, in college, and sports, is emergency action plans. More importantly, we're reviewing cardiac arrest. We are reviewing exertional heat illness. We are reviewing the spinal cord injuries, or even the truncal injuries or head-related traumas, the concussions. We review those during the off season prior to training camp beginning. But more importantly, during the season, pre-game, that's when we also have the league has a 90-minute meeting where the emergency response physicians, the airway management physicians, and the paramedics, they all meet before we even meet at our 60-minute meeting. But that 90-minute meeting is fairly new this past year, but that allows them to just get all on the same page, just review the emergency action plan, make sure everybody know who the code leader is, where the nearest hospital is, if there's any questions or concerns. Those are all addressed at that meeting, and it doesn't have to take a long time. And then everybody goes back and ready for the game.
Can you tell us a bit about the emergency action plan that came into play on January 2nd, 2023, when Damar Hamlin experienced cardiac arrest?
I think we all know, just based on what has been out in public and the media, we all knew that was a dire situation. You guys could just basically tell once we got on scene that it was not your routine play, wasn't your routine injury. So we just relied on that experience. We relied on each other going through our process and our emergency response and in implementing our action plan.
So when it's time to make the call to engage that plan, how do the team members communicate that to each other and then get out there as quickly as possible?
Well, athletic trainers, physicians, we all communicate. If you look at us during the game, whether it's high school, college, or the pros, most of us all wear a radio with the earpiece, and we're able to communicate pretty rapidly. If it's a routine football play and I need like the cart, and it's just an orthopedic condition, I can call our cart guy with two ways, either over the radio to say, hey, I need the injury cart over to the sideline, or if we're on the field, most stadiums, their cart guys have access to the field, and then they can just say, okay, I need to go out to the 20-yard line, pick up the player, especially if it's not a emergency situation. And then we take him up to the locker room, take him over to x-ray, or if the headsets break down, the simple little hand gesture is for the cart. Now you take it a step further. If it's a dire situation similar to what we have, I think seconds matter, and that all call over the radio. Some teams do an A for the ambulance, or just a spine board, just a hands out. And that just sort of relays to everybody on site that the situation is a little bit more dire. Everybody needs to be on hand.
Well, what should every organization, really even those without medically trained staff, do to prepare for cardiac emergencies?
Great question. And I would say have a plan, whether it's an emergency action plan or a cardiac response plan. I think having policies and plans in place, you don't have to be emergency trained to render care to somebody. And if you have a plan in place, that's going to identify who calls 911, who goes gets the AED, and then who stays with the victim and then is doing CPR, until that AED arrives, or until the emergency response or the paramedics arrive. So I think just having a plan in place will help individuals render care. I'd rather you do something than nothing. Call, push. You may have to push a little longer, especially if the AED is not within 2 minutes or less. And then just keep pushing until that AED arrives. And then the machine tells you what to do. Everybody's scared to use an AED. You do not have to be certified to use an AED. The machine shows you, it tells you. The pictures on the AED pads will illustrate exactly where you need to place it. And then the machine tells you either shock is advised or no shock advised. So I think we need to really stress the importance of all organizations to have plans in place. Think about this. I remember growing up in Oklahoma, we have a fire drill, we had tornado drills, have a cardiac response drill.